One of the best ways to play Football Manager is lower league football, down and dirty, in amongst the dead men. But how do we get out the leagues? What is the best way to build a tactic for the lower leagues? Welcome in everyone, hope you're well. So we've covered a range of different tactics so far, and I myself am currently in the lower leagues in Football Manager, and what a battle it is. So I thought, why not try and build a tactic and show you guys how I go about it. In previous tactic videos, I've guided you on how to do a 4-4-2, a 4-3-3, a 4-2-3-1. This one's a bit different because you're going to have to analyse your squad yourself and then decide what formation to go with. The key things we're going to look at today are player roles for lower league football and team instructions. Now I've loaded up a 4-4-2 template there, that's what I'm going to work off for this lower league tactic. So I'm going to go to my squad screen next, and the reason we go here is because unlike higher league teams and teams of a better standard, we're going to struggle to shoehorn our players into positions we want them to play and roles we want them to play, purely because they're not going to be very capable. Example, this is Stuart McMullen. He's my best centre back. I cannot use Stuart McMullen as a ball playing defender, as you can see, because his attributes, they're just not going to cut it. So what we need to do is the old adage of keep it simple, stupid. We're keeping it simple, the roles need to stay simple, and so do those all important team instructions as well. Now in an ideal world, you will have a bit of pace and a bit of off the ball movement from some forward players, so you can build a tactic around that. Now look, Alex Pomeroy here is the best striker at the club. Looking at him straight away you'll think, oh my god, what are we doing here? But at this level, he's not bad. He's off the ball, he's 12, his acceleration is decent at 11, he can finish as well. That's the type of player you've got, and you've got to think Alex Pomeroy will be up against the sort of defender we showed you in McCullen. So he's going to have a chance, so we need to take advantage of that. How do you take advantage of that? Ideally, you're going to have some pace, either out wide or through the middle. Most of the time at this level, it's going to be out wide though, such as Caelan Brennan here. Crossing 8, dribbling 12, acceleration 13, pace 11. It's pretty decent, so we've got someone to supply some bullets. Now I've got it set up as 4-4-2, but this could also work as a wing-back system as well, having your wing-back supplying them crosses. It all depends what sort of players you've got at your club. But the basis of this will stay the same. We're keeping it simple, we're concentrating on nice, clean, simple roles and not overcomplicating things. You'll notice in that setup I've got there's no Mozzalas, there's no advanced playmakers or anything like that, because that would be an absolute disaster. Example, if I click on Connor Harkin here, there he is. Now even the game says, please just put him on a central midfielder. If I was to click on his allegedly second best role, the Mozzala, a big part of the Mozzala, getting forward, is dribbling, supplying some extra crossing, a bit of flair. I mean, look at this. He's dribbling, bless his heart, is 1, his crossing's 2. If I put Mozzala onto attack, it gets a little bit worse. His long shots aren't good enough, his flair's not there, he's not built for that type of role. This is where lower league management comes in with your simple roles. Your central midfield roles, your wingers, your fullbacks and your poachers. And the other good thing about these roles is you can kind of manipulate them to suit the player a bit better than other roles. There's no hard coding going on. For example, Harkin there, central midfielder on support. You can see there, no player instructions. I can use them to amplify the positive things he does have. Example, his passing and his decisions are quite good, so I will nudge his passing onto a bit more direct so he can provide a few balls more direct to the wings or to the strikers. On the flip side, we've just seen his dribbling and his crossing is bloody awful. So we'll go to this, cross left often and dribble less often. So you can do that for all these roles, accentuate the positives and get rid of the negatives. That's my biggest tip for these non-league and lower league saves. Concentrate on what they're good at, make them do that and get out of the locker the things you don't need them to do. You can go through your whole team doing this on these plain basic roles like your fullbacks on support. If this guy, for example, Hugh Carlin, crossing 5, his dribbling is 7, but his acceleration pace is not very good, so we don't need him going forward too much. He's pretty good on the way back, his tackling's decent, his marking's okay, and his decisions are good. So that tells me I don't need him bombing on. I'll drop him back to fullback on defence, and I can play with his player instructions a bit. I don't want him dribbling as much, he definitely doesn't want to be shooting, and cross a little less often, and that's him more solid straight away. So we do that for the whole team, nice and simple, get them doing what they do best. This will then lead on to team instructions, again, that are going to be pretty simple. Now, I still want to win matches, and mentality is going to play a big part in that. I'm going to go attacking at home because I'm going to try and get some sort of advantage, and an attacking mentality will dictate the way we play. You can, of course, change this away from home or how you see fit, but we're going to go with attacking because it just gives us that passing directness set to more direct, higher tempo from the get-go. We want to use our positives, and our positives in this lineup are going to be our crosses and our forwards. So we're going to hit early crosses to try and get the forwards a better chance of getting off the mark with their superior off-the-ball movement compared to lower league centre-backs. And we're quite lucky because we've got a couple of wingers who are good at running with the ball, so we're going to encourage that with the team, asking them to run at the defence a little bit more. If you haven't got players that can dribble well, keep that off. Got a great set-piece routine? This is the time to use it. Get the play for set-pieces in. And honestly, that'll be it for in possession. We don't want to overcomplicate things. You're just going to mess your players' heads up because they don't have the mentals to deal with everything coming at them at once. Keep it simple. We then go to the out of possession. We do this first rather than in transition. You need to decide how you want your team to play. Are they going to be a counter-attacking team or are you going to be on the front foot? When first taking over, I like to hedge my bets a little bit. So I'll keep the defensive line at standard because I've seen too many times balls coming over the top and my defenders just missing it. So we stay at standard. And I'm going to get my boys to push a little high on, putting pressure on their defence because we've seen what my defence are like on the ball, and clubs at this level are all going to be pretty similar, so we'll still put a bit of pressure on their defence too. If you're looking to play more of a counter-attacking game, you could obviously bring that line of engagement back, draw the team on and then hit them over the top. Now your pressing, we'll start with much more often, we'll start aggressive, but because we're not going to have great fitness and stamina, I will watch this and then various points of the match, usually about 10 minutes before half time, I'll drop it back to there. Same goes for later on in the game, especially in the second half. We'll have to drop a little bit further off, otherwise the players are just going to be dead. I would 100% stay away from offside trap because they're likely not to get that right. And finally, this is lower league football. Boys and girls, get stuck in. Joking aside, you want to win the ball back, so encouraging get stuck in is where it's at. Now you can look at in transition. Again, this will come down to what type of team you are. Now I want to be an attacking team because I want to get out of these lower leagues. So I'm going to ask my team to counter press and I'm going to ask them to counter. You'll notice there that this lad is not going to participate in the counter. And that's because he's set on fullback on defence. So if you want to remain a little bit more solid, set both your fullbacks to defence, let your wingers do the work. And that way, when you counter, you'll still maintain that rigid back four. If you do take the lead in the match and it's starting to get a little bit tight, a little bit feisty and your players are getting a little bit tired, you can always drop one or both of these off. The way I like to do it is keep counter on, drop that off, and occasionally, if we're really under the cosh, I'll drop in regroup. But I will start the game with counter press. Distribution, now you've got to remember that your keeper's distribution might not be too good. It's going to be pretty average, such as this guy Paul Wells. He's kicking his 9 there, he's throwing his 7. It's not the best, is it? And his first touch is 1, so we don't want him to have the ball too much. You kind of got two options here. You can chance it and let him boot it up and hope for the best over the top there towards your strikers, or you can keep him rolling it out. Now if he rolls it out, it's going to be to one of your fullbacks or your centre backs. So if they are really terrible on the ball, you're probably better off leaving it off and letting him pump it forward. Now in an ideal world, and this is the route I like to go down, is I like to get it distributed to a target man, so at least there's someone to aim at higher up the pitch. That's it for team instructions. You can see there's hardly any on there. 3 in each column. We don't want to overcomplicate it. Let the players play. They haven't got the mentals to deal with 150 different instructions coming at them. Keep it simple. Obviously a big tip is to get your set players sorted. They're going to be huge in this league. Huge. If you've got a great set piece taker, that'll be a massive, massive bonus. The sheer lack of quality in your squads you initially got is going to dictate what you can and can't do. And unfortunately, it's mostly can't. So that's why we stay basic. Don't get downhearted though. As the time goes on, you can slowly recruit better players and then roles can slowly get a little bit more exotic. But for now, I can't recommend enough simple basic tactics and roles for lower league football, such as a 4-4-2, a 4-3-3 or a 5-3-2. And you'll notice in all the formations I just showed you there, the roles were simple, basic, and ones that you can manipulate to boost up the positives and hide as best you can the negatives of those kind of substandard players. It is more of a team game down the lower leagues. Keep it simple, gaining that momentum and staying on top of morale. Keep the morale up, get some results going, and you'll zoom up that league.